Welcome everybody to Sanctuary in the Storm. During this hour-and-a-half webinar, we will be joined and led and guided and supported by the founders of the Diamond Approach, Hameed Ali, who writes under the pen name A.H. Almaas, and Karen Johnson, who's co-founder of the Diamond Approach. And they'll begin today's webinar by welcoming everyone into the space, and then they will both give a talk on today's topic. And then after the talk, we'll have time for questions and comments with Hameed and Karen before we close the session. And with that, it is my great honor and joy to turn things over to both Hameed and Karen.
Wonderful to see everyone, and very touching to have people from all over the world and from various spiritual paths and practices. And maybe some of you are not following any particular path or practice, but clearly you're here because there's a draw to the topic, and it's not I think it's pretty common to feel that we're in a storm these days of all kinds of things, with what's going on in the world politically and so many other areas, climate, and it's just been a swirl of all kinds of things that bring out the best in people and the worst, and the extremes are getting more common. So what does it mean to move through the world, be in the world in a way that roots us in something that has a different kind of gravity, a different kind of gravitational pull, that has more peace and settledness to it, that we can walk through the world in a way that isn't reactive, and instead we can respond from a place that has more calm, more peace, more ground in something that feels more real and gives us an inner sense of security. If we don't have that, then we're going to be thrown out into the reactive mode that so many people seem to be in. The fear and the aggression and all of the various things that get really kicked up for us. So hopefully what we can offer today to you is the takeaway is there's something so precious, so beautiful within, that we lose touch with when we get thrown into the storm. So we want to start to learn to open the door to the inner sanctuary. And that doorway is available. You don't have to transcend anything. You can just learn to manage and deal with your emotions in such a way that that becomes the doorway to the inner sanctum, to the calm, without trying to push it away, without trying to make them not true. We can look at our reactivity and deal with them in a way that opens a portal. And this might seem radical to some of you. To some of you who are here, you're aware of the way that we practice and the way that we use whatever is happening for us, whatever is going on, is the place to begin that journey. So opening the door to the sanctuary within is really to begin with wherever we are. But I'd first like to call attention to the fear and aggression that's there. Have you noticed that both of those have a particular stance, and that is that the eyes get kind of squinty. We begin to filter out everything that's beautiful, everything that's available in our lives and within becomes squelched, scrunched, and we don't see it. We filter it out, and we just start to focus on the things that are not going well, the negativity, the difficulties, the division, and we lose sight of the beauty. We lose sight of the things that we can enjoy. One of our beautiful potentials is to be here to enjoy what's here, not just to focus on the difficulties. So that's an invitation at the beginning is how we can begin to open our eyes and include all. It doesn't mean just go into a blissful state and only seeing the beauty everywhere. That's a wonderful state, but it isn't the actual state of the world. We do need to be vigilant. We do need to act. We do need to take actions, sometimes that are very difficult ones to take. But that doesn't mean that we have to be caught up in the hatred, the aggression, and the fear. For that, we need to be able to feel rooted, rooted within in a way that we feel the calmness, where we can feel peaceful, where we have access to something other than the turmoil. So it doesn't mean forgetting about it and not paying attention to it, but to open wider, to hold both the turmoil, the difficulties, the pain, the suffering, and the beauty, and to not forget that. It's all part of this world, and to be steady within allows us to hold all of it.
Well, the question of seeing the beauty and the possibilities, potentials of our life and in the world is the question how that becomes limited. It's been happening for a while, actually, since the beginning. I mean, it's always been an issue for the human race. What we see, do we need to see just survival, or what is good for me, and not see the others? And all the way to the Industrial Revolution and the development of Western civilization, which with great stride and development, but at the same time, estrangement from the natural world, more and more estrangement from the natural world, which mean we're not seeing the beauty or appreciating beauty of the natural world. And so that's general, development of civilization, not that it's the only time people don't see natural world. Throughout history, people have been in different areas with a lot of difficulties and wars and persecution, whatever, and people were scared, and sometimes scared not just, anger, whatever, they're scared of swords and killing, and many part of the world now people are scared of bullets and bombs, and actually bullets and bombs are falling on some people. So we want to speak even to the people who are in those places, but of course, most of us are not necessarily scared of bomb. We're scared of just the division and the, that is happening in society. The fact that politics and social situation is changing rapidly from what we was for what many of us to be relative calm, relative normality, to more division, more opposition, and more, um, inequality. And so, and that is bringing up, for even the ones who not being scared or that way, scared of individual situation, but not in general, are now fear or disagreeing with somebody else on the other side. And sometimes the disagreement these days is not just disagreement. In the old days, you disagree and you talk, and hopefully you come to some kind of compromise. These days, disagreement means opposition means making the other wrong or bad, and you don't want to talk with them. So it's happening in the world that people are not talking to each other, not open to talking to each other, and hopefully that doesn't last very long, but who knows how it might get worse that way. So I'm referring to the fact that the need for the inner sanctuary has always been there. all throughout human history. I mean, in the beginning of human history, we were savages. People were killing each other for land and food and mates and stuff like that. We supposedly we got civilized and developed, but the civilization of the human race has not been really complete. We're not completely human. The human race in general is still in its primitive animalistic state where survival and what I need, what I turn on to, what I believe, what I is what I listen to, or at least my small group of people who agree with me. Other people are strangers.
Not
So
only are they strangers, they become evil.
yeah,
That if someone doesn't agree with you, they become bad, they become evil, they become something of a different ilk than you, and they need to be eradicated somehow or oppressed or set apart from the good.
yeah. I mean, there are other parts of the world where they're actually killing each other.
Hmm.
We need to remember that, at least in the U.S. and many parts of Europe and Australia, whatever, people are not exactly killing each other, but there is a social kind of political division and enmity and wanting, not listening and seeing the other, demonizing the other. And the question is not just demonizing the other, that tendency that is really expresses the animal nature, human primitive animal nature. That's mean not humanized. Not humanized mean doesn't include the heart. Human doesn't include humanness, which is mostly defined by heart, by love, by caring, by sensitivity, by empathy, by tolerance, and that seem to be on the rise these days. Some people don't think so, but some people do think so. Even division, there is division about everything these days. The climate thing, there's division about it. AI, there's a division about it. Social media, I mean, there's division about it, politics and what it works with, economy, the division about it. So there's division about everything. So the sense of divisiveness is appearing. And the way I think about it, division is not necessarily a bad thing. Difference is not necessarily a bad thing. That's normal, and that's what creates interaction, possibility, and then from that come creativity and new solution and development. But it can also, as we what we thought of this webinar, that many are feeling they're falling on the two sides of the instinctual response, which is either fear or anger. Some are getting scared, getting they're afraid, or paranoid, they're worried, or they're not feeling secure. Let's put it this way. There's insecurity and uncertainty about the future. How's the future going to be? Am I going to be able to live? Are my children going to be able to live peacefully? And there's the other side, people who are angry and want to get back and blaming. And there are people who also very happy about how things are happening because they think they are winning. Their way of looking at things is really what is winning, and because of that, they're happy. And you see here, our teaching is about being human. It's not about who's winning and who's better, who's good, and who's. The point that we want to bring about very strongly is that our teaching has to do, one principle of our teaching is to be in the world and not of it. Meaning we live in the world, we acknowledge the world, we see its reality, and it's important to be in it, to engage it, and to enjoy it. But we're not of it, meaning identity, our insides, our subjectivity, our true self is not part of this world. It's not physical. It's not emotional. It's not of anything that is under the influence of time or circumstances. It's independent of all of that. And our work is how to get in touch with that and how that becomes our core, our center, our what we experience as ourselves. And that part is free from the external situation, what happened in it. Does not, it's not that it is not aware of it, is aware of it, sensitive to it, response to it, but it is not at the whims of it. It doesn't, that part doesn't get scared, doesn't get angry, doesn't get opinionated, doesn't judge, doesn't, that part is simply stable, secure, solid inside, peaceful, and with an inner harmony. And that has always been the aim of spirituality or spiritual teaching, not just this teaching.
And many of the traditions see that as a transcendent condition, which is beautiful. There's expanse, transcendence outside the world as a presence or a expanse of spacious openness. It's beautiful and it's wonderful, but what does it take to anchor that, ground that in the world? And our teaching shows that that is a necessary and beautiful realization, but to be in the world, it's like that expanse condenses itself into a palpable kind of presence that has a very distinct density or fluidity to it that we can feel, and it's a grounding and rooting in the world of the expanse itself. So our teaching has a great deal to do with what it means to be present in the world, but not just as attention or being here and not distracted. It's presence as that condensed light of the expanse becomes a palpable sense of rootedness and groundedness within. And that is when Hameed talks about that as our core. One of the ways that we experience that of being in the world is literally the beingness of existence that shows that our existence is beyond physical, emotional, mental. It is an existence that exists as a self-knowing existence, meaning when we feel it, we feel the truth of it, we feel the actual palpable sense of it. And that expanse condensing itself and filling us with the sense of existence can come in all of these qualities of the purity of love and kindness, but also strength and ballast and a sense of grounded, rooted feeling in our bodies. It's an embodied knowing of what we are. And that is a necessity in the world, but not only in times of difficulty. Inner sanctuary is something that enables us to meet life in all of its ways and enjoy the beauty in a way that isn't overlaying it with all kinds of our needs and greeds for the various shiny objects, but to appreciate the preciousness in each other as human beings. So the thing about presence is that it is an actual spiritual mass that is kind of a parallel to physical mass. It feels so physical, but it isn't of the physical world. So being in the world and not of it requires a kind of development of our spiritual mass and a groundedness of it that gives us a sense of inner security no matter what's going on. It doesn't change the world, but it changes the way you can be in the world, which changes something and has a ripple effect. And it gives us a sense of always being aware of preciousness the preciousness of others, the preciousness of ourself too, and what we actually are. So that is part of what's necessary to have inner sanctuary, is to really not only know the spaciousness, not only know the depth and the peacefulness that can be there in a transcendent state, but to be able to open the door of our sanctuary and shine out into the world from that place of peace, to take action from a steady place, to be able to be active and assertive when needed without animal aggression, to be able to do what's needed to get out of a situation that could be difficult or dangerous, but to be alert in it rather than letting fear run. So our inner sanctuary isn't only just to shut the door on the world and to cloister, but it is to be able to go inward, to feel the nourishment of that place, and be able to then walk in the world staying in touch with that, to be able to respond rather than be reactive. And that response can be a myriad of ways. Like I said, strength, that is not counter to peace. Real strength is an assertion that has a peaceful capacity within it, doesn't get dismantled from that peace. So it's necessary for us to, as human beings, if we really want to be fully human, is to learn how to be in the world and not act like animals. And that's a long road. It takes work and practice, but there is that possibility. And it's not so far to open up to that.
Yeah. It's not easy place to get to. So we don't want to give the impression that we're just gonna turn around and be the inner sanctuary. To put it in a context, there is our life, the external world, which whatever condition it is peaceful, quiet, happy, or it is turmoil, it's trouble and enmity, reactivity, and even wars and violence and all that. There's the inner world. But then there's our inner, that's the outer world, but then there's our usual, ordinary inner world, which is reaction to that, either fear or protectiveness or anger or revenge but these are the things that actually those our usual emotional and mental inner world. And the mental is our ideologies and belief system, and our identifying what we think is right and wrong and all. Those two things, the emotion and mental, are actually the impediment to the inner sanctuary. It's not the outer world that's the impediment. It is our own subjectivity that is the impediment to the inner sanctuary. And that's what we need to contend with first. And we need to work with and understand and not identify with the emotion, regardless of whether it's positive or negative, how negative, how bad, how scared, how angry with it. First, we need to just feel it. By contending with them, mean recognizing them, being aware of them, acknowledging them, understanding them as much as possible, and not taking them to define us. Both our emotion and our thoughts and beliefs and ideologies and whatever system we believe in, both those are actually an impediment to the inner sanctuary. And they are true throughout all the ages for all human beings. They are the impediment to the inner sanctuary.
If you really look at the world, it's really echoing the kind of fragmentation that we have inside ourselves, our inner conflicts. All of humanity is still active and acting from one's own inner conflicts. That can't do anything but feed the fracturing and the difficulties and the divisions, because we are divided inside. We have been separated from the preciousness of our nature. And that is what feeds this division and makes it even more so.
Yeah, and the human suffering has always been. It's not just a time difficult, even in time of peace, human beings suffer inside because of their emotion and their mental content. And the spiritual world, the spiritual work is not trying to protect you from bullets, from bombs. They're trying to free you from the limitation of your own mind, of your own consciousness, and if your own ordinary consciousness, with its emotion and the emotion and thoughts are all dictated by what happened to us in the past. They have a lot to do with what we experienced in the past, and that conditions us, that patterns us to respond in a certain pattern ways. And everybody got their own pattern, their own way of looking at things, patterns of behavior, patterns of emotional response, pattern of thinking, and we need to be aware of the inner work, the inner path, is to be aware of those and acknowledge them, not reject them, and be aware of them in such a way that that is not our identity, that's not our true self. That allows the possibility of the true self to emerge, the inner purity, the inner nature of consciousness, the inner nature of our mind and body, which is more of our spiritual nature. And that spiritual nature can appear in many ways, but the way we are emphasizing is that is relevant to being an inner sanctuary, being an inner stability, an inner solidity. We're emphasizing the sense of presence, because it can appear as light and energy, whatever, but it can mostly appear as some kind of beingness, a sense of I am what I am. The I am is not it's not like I'm a body, not that I am old. I'm not that I'm a man or a woman. It's not that I am scared. It's I am defined by the sense of being. By we are aware of the immediately of the sense of our own fundamental existence, which is the existence of our consciousness. Consciousness is not just being aware of things, but consciousness has a medium, has a nature, and that has in it a sense of existing, being. And when we feel I am being, I am feeling my own existence, there's a sense of inner settledness, an inner harmony, an inner sort of a ground that is not determined by my past experience.
And
But
as we
we all
develop,
have that. Yeah, it's not determined by my past experience. It's not determined by what I think, what are my emotions. These are external to it. The inner psychology is the inner of the inner, is actually the sacred innerness of the human nature.
and that's what enables us to be truly human, actually. And as we develop that, it has a gravity to it. We are able to feel the gravitational pull toward it because we love that. We love the feeling because it is so real. It's about being real in the world with each other. Being real, and that starts with honesty with ourselves. But to be able to be real is to feel the I amness of that shining star of what we are and the shining presence of what we are. And it creates more and more gravity that allows us to not be drawn into the gravity of the world and all of its discord, but to stay within that preciousness, and that our love keeps us there. And then we can express that love in so many ways, in ways that enable us to find the harmony and help to optimize situations. Love is what optimizes things. It's what makes us the best we can be in any situation. And we're going to have limitations. We're going to run up against challenges, but love and being with what we are and as what we are allows us to move through those in ways that opens up everything. It's hard to be open. It's hard to be always feeling that we're open and available, but it's way harder not to be. And it makes things harder not to be. So getting in touch with that existence and that feeling of substance, of spiritual mass, allows us to relax, and it allows us to lead with heart and an open mind. Without that, our minds close and we rely on our opinions and our ideologies and our factions and our groups that echo our ideas as the support, instead of feeling that support and that ballast in our own being, in that sanctuary. And the compass shifts from outer to inner, and to that ballast and to that substance and to that light, so that we're really able to navigate the world with an inner sense of true north, of true beingness, and enable us to meet the challenges with more inner resources instead of just joining in the fight.
And I want to, point to two things. First of all, is that we are inviting you to look inward, to move inward to deal with outer difficulties. Now, outer difficulties are always there, all throughout life. So spiritual teaching don't come just during time of difficulty. They come through all time, because spiritual teaching consider human being always living in difficulties. And this time may be doubly more difficult, and which bring more the emotional reaction and fear and sense of insecurity and all of that. So there's an invitation to look inward, to look at the deep part of us, beyond our what we feel, what we think, and all of that, to something that is fundamental, that Karen is calling presence, the inner beingness. But the other part, and that is caused an invitation throughout all time, not just now. But at time of adversity, time of turbulence, many people feel the call more naturally, more direct, because they feel the need for something to rely on, something to depend on, and that can move many of us inward. Some of us are already moving inward at all time. Some people, it takes a lot from the outer world for them to see, oh, well, what's left for me? I need a place where I can feel some kind of security, some kind of, I'm not, thrown around by the waves of a turbulent ocean. And that brings in the inner yearning, or inner love, or inner longing, or wanting to be illuminated, wanting to know oneself, wanting to know the truth. And then when we find the truth, the way we're describing the inner presence, which is the nature of consciousness, then that can help us deal with the outer world at all time, and makes our, first of all, our attitude of the world is more equanimous, more tolerant, but also more courageous, more stable. And our response to the way our action in the world is more intelligent, more appropriate. Even if there are bombs and bullets flying around, how do you deal with that? If you deal with it just from fear is useful. However, it's just fear. We might do something that is not good for us or for others, but we need to do it with a sense of awareness, with a sense of the inner stability gives us discrimination, clarity, intelligence, and appropriateness of how to respond to the world that is more effective, more efficient. And that comes in very handy at difficult times because we need to be more intelligent, more appropriate, more aware of the situation. So the way we deal with our world does not endanger us or endanger other people, but can bring in more external sense of capacity or sense of being able to establish some kind of an area where we feel more normality or more humanness.
And what's also important to remember and to know is that the tenderness of an open heart and the kindness and compassion gives rise to a deep sensitivity to what is needed. And that is a companion to our ability to act, to be steady, and that density of beingness arises in a tender way. And it also, as I'm sitting here with all of you and feeling the gift that we really want to give you, I think at the real base of all of it is that the greatest wound and division is really the separation of humanity from its nature. And that there is a way back, but we each need to take that step inward for ourselves. Our own suffering and pain and difficulty really begins at that division, that separation. It is a schism. It is an abyss for many of us. For some of you, you have felt more closeness, more a sense of the real in you. But that division, we can see how that is expressing itself throughout the world and its suffering of the world, as if the entire planet has a big wound in it. So what we can do personally for ourselves is find our way back to that wholeness, to open the door to that innerness so that our sensitivity can grow and develop and become strong and tender, so that we're not only responding to the world with a sensitivity of what's needed and the people in our world and our friends and loved ones, but also those who we consider enemies, those who we consider different in ways that are threatening. They don't have to be a threat then. It doesn't mean don't pay attention. It means be sensitive, know what's happening, respond in ways that are important. If you're in danger, you need to react. You need to be alert. But without sensitivity, it doesn't matter how alert you are. You need to be sensitive to how to respond. You need to know which way to go. The heart needs to be engaged and open. To be able to be engaged and open means you also need to feel the strength. Because braveness, being brave, being courageous isn't necessary if there isn't a little trepidation or if there isn't fear. There's no need for bravery. Brave is when you act in the face of fear. It's when you are able to transcend that. because something greater is coming forward. And I think any of you who've been in a situation where you've had to be brave or courageous, it's not that there isn't fear. It's that something else drove you to act in a way that was right and good and real right then. So it's not that all these feelings go away, but something else begins to eclipse it, begins to shine past it. And that is a potential for each of us, for everyone.
And I want to point to other kind of reaction that happens to many people at times of difficulty, which is the sense of depression, gloom, pessimism, and seeing things as dark as
Cynical. Yeah.
yeah, and think might be like that socially or politically or whatever. However, our inner spirit can bring in light, can we can see not only the inner beauty, but the world has beauty. Nature still has beautiful. People are beautiful and they have beautiful things in them. Even what we call enemies, they also might love their kids and they are loving people and all of that. So we need to be remember the sense of the awe and majesty of reality, of nature and our inner reality. We need to appreciate the wonder of the fact that we exist, that we experience. I mean, our experience might be, oh, it might be scary. Oh, I don't know what's going to happen. All that's true. But the fact that you actually know that, you can experience it, when we see, we become aware of our inner nature and we have that inner sanctuary that gives us some kind of a respite, makes us become more aware of these questions, things that many people, even ordinary time, don't think about, which is that there's beauty, there's a miraculousness to reality, there's miraculousness to life, there's miraculousness to being human, and we talk about how to respond in a way that's more intelligent, that is more sensitive, that is more empathic. That's possible. That by itself is unusual. And we could have been just like a robot. We could only respond according to our inner, programming. We have just way. If something new happened, we don't know how to do it. Human being, doesn't matter what happened. We can always be creative and find solution to situation. So people finding like technological solution, financial solution, political solution, all of that. And we are saying all these are good. We want to add the spiritual solution too.
And
That the spirit adds a whole other thing, whole other dimension to things that both highlights the beauty and the goodness, the beauty in reality in nature, and the inherent goodness in human being that is really deep there. It might not be out there. A person might not be feeling it, but it is there. It is natural to all human beings that we have heart, that we have spirit, that we have purity.
you can feel the energy. It's exciting. It's exciting and it's vibrant to have that kind of perspective where we can be open to all of it and have our resources available. But I also want to call attention to this large group of people that are here right now. You can look at everyone and see or feel there's many people here. You don't all agree with each other. If you sat down and talked about different opinions about different things, but you're all here because there's an interest in something else. That is what can galvanize unity. Not opinions, not agreement, but to have the preciousness at the core of all of it. And we have the opportunity we're offering an opportunity to travel together as a community through a course that we're offering called Spirituality in a Fractured World. And that is a place where we can gather and move through some of these hurdles, how to use our emotions and our reactions and take a look at them to open doorways to the qualities that bring sensitivity, real strength, real courage, that ballast and groundedness and peace and joy, to learn to enjoy from a place of that shiny heart. So we're offering a course that can take this further. You might choose to just go with what's been stimulated for you today and have conversations, think about it, maybe read more about what we do, or continue on your spiritual path with some of these things. But we also invite you to gather for a course that actually takes you deeper into what it means to really meet the challenges of a world that's in disarray and discord and in a storm of all kinds of feelings and division and difficulty. So with that, there will be some Q&C right now. We'll answer some questions, and maybe that'll bring some more clarity about what we do and how we approach experience to open it up. And so we'd like to have some contact with you, and we'll see where that goes.
Hello, Happy New Year.
May it be so.
It's hard to say when I'm a very lucky woman. On my journey to here, I have met good masters. Therefore, both of you for me is a privilege to be here to listen. And there was a lot of aha moment for me, because as a new student, for bringing all that information that I have been receiving through the journey of life, but then now is practicing it in a spiritual level. It was affirmation for me that my practice is doing okay, and being in here, it is also wonderful. One of my experiences I would love to share, and it was that in recent weeks, through my human reality with direct perspective, I sensed myself in kind of above the world and looking down, and I experienced how low the human consciousness is turning. But not good, not bad, just what I saw. But then while I started it to just kind of put some rational thing or reasoning behind what the vision, I realized that I myself need to seek to develop further level of integration.
Mm-hmm.
Integration, I have direct perspective and keep practicing having that direct perspective, and therefore less of the constructions of mind instructed it as a habit. And through that was good for me to start that. But through that practice, I also realized that I am part of that origin. And therefore, I am a gift. And this gift must have some good purpose in the midst of whatever I have visioned. It is a very new practice. It is a very new contemplation, but it's joyous.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's joyous. It gives me glow.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know I can see my own glow.
I can see your glow.
Yeah.
That's good. So being
this is
touched by spirit,
Shiny within, shiny without.
glow, spirit is pure glow.
Absolutely. And I couldn't become to this glow so freely. Something that maybe from childhood I was looking. because of this space. It allowed me to just unleash.
Beautiful.
Yeah, thank
Sounds
you.
like,
Thank you
sounds like,
both.
yes, you're welcome. Sounds like you have good accessibility. Just keep letting that roll.
Oh, yes, I have a good teacher
You
as
don't have any
well.
choice.
Yeah, oh, no,
Once
no,
you,
no,
once
I
you
don't
get
want to have a
going,
choice.
no, there's no choice after a while.
Yes, it was such an honor to be with you both and everybody else is here. And
Good,
thank
good,
you again.
good
Thank
to
you.
meet you, Mariam. Good to meet you. I wanted to add one thing, which is when we say we need to be free from our thoughts and minds and emotions, doesn't mean we shouldn't have them.
Oh
Everybody
no,
can
it's a
have them.
new,
I'm not just
I've
talking to
been,
you, I'm talking about everybody.
oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
sorry.
everybody. That uh, everybody will have their belief system, they'll have their ideology, whatever, that's fine. But I'm saying the ideology doesn't have to define what you are at the fundamental level. Who we are at the fundamental level is beyond all of these things. But it's okay. And so division is normal in society, and uh, and I was
But we can see it as difference instead of division.
yeah, it's a very good point. I was thinking, I was working in the last week or so on preparing a teaching for a week-long retreat about unity. And I was seeing that there are two kinds of unity that the spiritual teaching. There's the unity of everything being love or everything being consciousness. But there's another unity, which is the unity of particulars, that all the particular make one. That unity actually makes more sense, which is one unity of many. Otherwise, what does unity? Just one doesn't mean singlehood. Unity means everybody is included in it, as they are. So the unity of unique particulars is really a more fundamental unity than what many other kind of unity that talk about everything is love, everything, which is all true. However, the unity of particular make us be able to appreciate the differences
Mhm.
of different people, different nationalities, different ethnicities, different sexes, different all of that we need because the particulars has that guy shows all these different things.
So thank you. And we'll go on to another particular.
Thank you, Mariam.
Hi, Hameed. Hi, Karen.
Hello.
How are you guys doing?
No, Mandy.
I
We're,
don't know if you guys remember me, but we talked many years ago.
Yeah,
Yeah,
years
good to see
ago.
you guys.
I
We
don't know if I remember you, but
It was in
the
the gym.
important thing is I'm here now with you.
Yeah, and I'm happy about that. I have my mom also with me over there.
Hi, Mom.
So yeah, for some reason I knew I was going to be picked next. I don't know why.
Where
But
are you, Mandy? Where are you speaking from?
I'm speaking from Vancouver, Canada. I'm originally from Morocco, but
Uh-huh.
I'm in Vancouver, Canada right now.
I see you're in Canada. Okay.
Yeah. And where are you guys right now?
Yeah,
From
Berkeley.
Berkeley?
we
Mhm.
are in Berkeley. Yeah.
You
Just
have a,
like the university you went to, Hamid, no? I
Yeah.
think. Okay.
Yeah. You're the north of us.
Yeah.
do you have a question or just want to say
Yes.
hi?
Both. I wanted to say hi first. And the second is I wanted to share very quickly something with you guys. Um, I've been a student of the Diamond Approach for many years, and it helped me a lot. It helped me a lot being myself. It helped me a lot understanding what's going on in life and everything. Unfortunately, 2 years ago, as I was going deeper and deeper into the diamond approach and things were opening up, I suffered what the doctors call a psychosis.
Mm.
Yeah. And so I had to go to the hospital and, I thought I was dead. I thought I died and I was in the mental hospital with all the other patients and
Sorry about that.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
it was difficult for sure for both me and my family,
Hmm.
Oh,
but thanks to that, in a certain way, it helped me become the person that I am today. And so, as I'm speaking, I'm noticing more and more the tenderness and feeling tender about this. But yeah, a lot of opening occurred very quickly. I was quickly absorbing the material. I was reading all of the books, watching all of the videos, everything. And so there was a quick progression of my unfoldment. My
yeah.
parents had to suffer the fact that I went to the hospital and stuff like that, and it's okay. They
Hmm.
were able to, it made us all stronger. And so now, um, Eileen, one of the teacher, told me that she couldn't take me anymore to the diamond approach. I had to stop being a student. And recently, about 2 weeks ago, I talked to Zurina May Wendy about what I should do now, about where should I go, how should my unfoldment be going towards, because my deepest purpose is to help people. And that made me realize that when I was at the hospital with all the people that were suffering from schizophrenia, manic episodes, and all that stuff. She told me that the diamond approach shouldn't be necessarily where I'm going to right now, and that I should focus on the basics of life, such as staying with my family and building up slowly the basics of my life and stuff like that. However, I still really, really want to help people. And I was thinking of becoming a diamond approach teacher, but that goes against everything that everyone's telling me that I shouldn't be, that the diamond approach shouldn't necessarily be something I'm going. It should be something more basic and more grounding and more, um, you know, just like normal life and just live my normal life. And it's true, but I'm conflicted on what I,
I thought that's usually for a while till you feel more solid inside yourself.
yeah.
So the idea is not to do that forever, but it's just for a while so that you feel more secure, so you don't go into psychosis again.
Yeah.
That's really part of getting an inner stability. Is
Yeah,
to have boots on the ground. Your love for the work is obvious, but to have boots on the ground and be able to take steps through life as you're more present in it, that will build a stability. And that is precious and that is helpful to everyone, actually. And then the question of then what to do with your life can start to be a little bit more based in that solid place. But it's also something that I think is a larger conversation to have with with a teacher. And but also I think the advice you got is very good.
I agree. Zarina was very helpful and
I'm glad you're feeling better. You're looking good.
I feel much, much better.
Yeah, you look
Very much
good. That's
solid. It's
good.
been
That's encouraging.
back.
Yeah,
Yeah, I feel quite solid.
Yeah.
I learned how to more and more, just live the normal life as things
good.
may open up, not put too much attention on that,
Yeah.
and more just stay in the, making the house like fixing the house.
Make the spiritual practical.
Exactly.
It's an important part of our work, actually. So
Yeah.
thank
Well,
you for
but also your situation point to the truth that going in a practice, it's not a matter of trying to go as deep as possible, as fast as possible, but to do it in one's own pace, as we have to accommodate to the end because there are fundamental big changes of identity and self, and we need to get acclimated, accommodated to it to move on to the next stage. So that's what which situation reminds me of, because I know some people just want to go as fast as possible, and sometimes that can
too much.
destabilize the person to do that. It's good to take your time to get used to it and move on from there. So thanks for and
Thank
good luck,
you.
Maddie. Yeah,
Good
Thank you very
luck.
much, you guys. I will make sure to take this into consideration
yeah.
for the
Hello, Karen. Hello, Amit.
Hello.
Yeah, bye.
Hi. I've been in Diamond Approach online for 3 years now. And the first thing I wanted to say was just thank you for both of your hearts for being sanctuaries for all of us, for the teachings. It's really a blessing to my life and to so many of us, and just feeling my heart really coming through today to all of you, but especially to the two of you for being such good stewards and shepherds. Really appreciate it. And the question or the comment I have is based on the last couple years, a particular kind of pain or division or difficulty that I've been experiencing in this time of social fracturing is that it's not just people over there having really different, diametrically opposed experiences to my own as a human with my values, my passions, my loves. I'm also starting to experience people very close to me surprising me with the degree of division and what feels like a level of just being really out of touch with truth. And it's shocking. Like there's people very close, like close friends who I feel really like we share a deep kinship in many ways. And then, oh my goodness, all of a sudden I discover that these people actually harbor these really different opinions than I expected. And there's something happening in consciousness for me that feels like the breaking is happening really close in.
Mhm.
And that has a particular quality that I think is important to call out.
Yes. Well, it's really common in the US anyway, that's been happening along with the election and so on. It's also true in other parts of the world, but I think, our personal experience here is such that in families have been broken apart as a result of these things, but also to be able to sit and find out, why are you thinking this way? Help me understand, is very, very hard. People get very, very protective of their points of view, their opinions, whatever truth is happening. Truth now has no basis often. It's true because I believe it, is often what's going on. But to have a conversation to find out has been difficult, because the defensiveness comes up so strongly. But it's useful to find out, well, where did you find this, and how do you know this? And those are the kind of conversations that are hard to have, but are necessary, I feel. I think we lost him. But these are really important conversations that, if you are feeling stability inwardly, you can actually ask those questions and find out more, rather than just having opinions in combat. To not have to have somebody agree with you, you actually might learn something about, why are they doing this, taking this action, voting for this person, and get a little more understanding about where somebody's coming from. You don't have to agree, and you might actually still think they're full of baloney, but at least you find out what they're thinking and why. And understanding brings a bridge. And sometimes,
When we find division or such differences close by, close at home, it's more difficult, more challenging than when it's out there, or so you just in the news, whatever, and you have your view with your friends, whatever. But when it's really close by, that it's more challenging, and that's when the inner sanctuary is actually more needed. We need the inner solidity that is not even dependent on my family and my friend. It is really fundamentally my true nature. There's an inner autonomy, you know, and otherwise, having people close by to us have opposing or different views that will surprise us can be stabilizing, destabilizing,
And that's not only with political things. There's things that happen in family dynamics that when you actually start to have truth telling amongst siblings, you find out, oh my God, they grew up in a different family. This is so different. And the way that they're approaching you and you them when you thought things might have been fine and they're not so much. It doesn't just go into politics. You're in a certain cultural ecosystem in a family, and there are very different opinions and views about what's happened there and what's happening. So that if you can be stable in your family, you're doing very, very well. Then you can go into your communities, to your countries, and actually feel you're meeting something immediately rather than just in some kind of a more abstract way. But it's practice. It's important.
Yeah, I think the important thing I'm trying to say is that this shows the importance of the inner sanctuary.
Mhm.
The inner sanctuary is your personal inner sanctuary. It's not the sanctuary of the family. It's not the sanctuary of your immediate family. No, it's inner sanctuary, your sanctuary. And that is the best solidity, best support for whatever happened, whether it was far away or close by. You know.
Yeah. So let's take another.
Thank you so much. Hi, Karen. Hi, Hameed.
Thank you.
I've been in the work for decades. I am so loving both of you on the screen at one time. I don't believe we've done this before. And I know I've had two teachers up at the same time, and I love that too. And I'm wondering if the class that you're offering is going to have that format.
We're going to be doing a couple of the Q&Cs for the class, for the course, and there'll be other teachers doing the Q&Cs. So there will be live Q&Cs so that people have a chance to interact, ask questions, and so on. And there'll be other opportunities within the course to interact with other students and so on.
And the course was taught by Karen and me. So
we'll be there.
they're finding us there.
Oh, okay.
The course is taught by us. It's the recording of a teaching we did in person.
Yeah, I don't know if you can still see me. I can't see you, but I can hear you. Okay, that is all well and good. I appreciate and am thrilled with all the teachers. But what I'm wondering is the two teachers at once format that really is firing me and lighting me up. Is that going to be offered in the class?
I'm not sure what you're asking, actually.
Two teachers on the same screen at the same time.
Oh, I see that one.
I don't know.
I don't know. I mean,
Okay.
I don't think so.
I don't know. I mean, we have organizers doing that. I think,
Okay.
I think sometimes I don't know whether Karen and I, when we do it, we're going to be together or separately. I don't remember.
Well, the teaching itself is a recording of a teaching we did in our sanctuary here. So, no.
Okay.
The answer is no.
Okay. And I just want you to know that there's something about having both of you on the screen. And like in my small group, I have amazing teachers and they teach together at times. And it really fires me.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great to know.
I know that some teachers do that. I hear about that. Yeah.
Good. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Good.
Judy. And just to fill in, I just checked in with the production team, and during the question and comment sessions that Karen and Hameed just mentioned that they're going to be doing to supplement along with the recorded parts of that course, they will be together. So you will get that experience of the two of them together, at least for some of those, if not all of them. So the team just filled that information in if it helps you.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I'm totally good. Thank you so much.
Oh, for sure. And actually, there was a question that came in YouTube that was also about the course, and so I might as well just ask it now since you both are talking about it. It says, what do you actually do in the course to accomplish the presence you are teaching about? What do you actually do in the course to accomplish the presence you are teaching about?
We don't accomplish presence. It's something that we can arrive at through understanding our experience. It's an approach to experience. And we do practices, we give practices about how to encourage presence to arise and to land in us. And that's some of what will be discussed in the course too. But presence is something that we can access through moving through the layers of our ego and our structure. And as we open it up and we begin to see what is true, that truth takes us to deeper and deeper levels of true experience until we reach the kind of gold mine, the mother lode, which is presence itself. So it's a practice of inquiry that takes us through layers, opens us up to new experiences beyond what we've known into the spiritual dimension.
Yeah, the course will include teachings by Karen and me, exercises, of inquiry, and meditation practices and music meditations. So there'll be practices, exercises, and teaching, and all oriented toward seeing the barriers, the obstacle, in the way of us finding our presence, that way allowing presence to emerge. And many actually in the course have experienced that kind of presence in different ways, different qualities of it. Hopefully, in this course, again, many will have that opportunity.
Thank you. There's one other one in YouTube here that might build on what you just said. It says, in addition to the grounding that Hameed and Karen discussed, are there actionable measures we can take to help humanize the world and or shift the trend away from greed, blame, division to a more compassionate, healthy, and loving world?
Being that. I don't think that we're under any illusion that by going inward and accessing that deeper truth of what we are is going to change the world, but it'll change many of the dynamics and things around us, and that has a ripple effect. And there's some individuals who are involved in very big companies or involved in a lot of different things that touch lots of people, and that can have a ripple effect. If there's somebody that's a head of or a CEO of a large company and they're getting in touch with something true and real and really expressing that through the company, that will have a big effect. But I think the best we can do is be the best that we can in our endeavor.
The more people, the more individuals who have their own inner sanctuary, the more that has an effect on others. It's like a light that radiates. It's not going to change. Remember, it'll affect the people around you, so that more individuals can be drawn into that light and will be interested in learning. And they have been teaching great masters throughout history. It didn't change the world. We're not thinking of changing the world. We're thinking maybe this course can help some individual find respite, find a way to enjoy life, and hopefully as many as possible. It would be great if we have millions of people doing it, but usually we don't get millions coming to live. Not because of us, because people are so busy with their life and their situation and so involved in external life. Most people don't even occur to them to even turn inward and go into some kind of spiritual kind of practice. But it'd be great if more do.
So more questions while we
Thank you both. Renee, let me bring you on in here.
Hi, Hameed. Hi, Karen.
Hi, Renee. Good to see you again.
Yes, I'm so happy to be here. So what's coming up for me is one, I'm sensing a quality that you all are bringing in of a sort of an equanimity of, um, a quality of relationship with what's unfolding in the world. And what I'm also aware of is that there's this incredible activity of sense making. I mean, it's noisy. It's very noisy. Everyone's like, what's going on? How do we make sense of this? And how can I put this into a context that I can understand and make sense of? And so there's a lot out there around, what does this mean for humans? Are we now being kind of invited or forced to evolve? What's going to happen? Like it just feels like there's a lot of craving for meaning and coherence. And people are looking to whether it's Tolkien or Star Wars or like good and bad, like, so I'm really curious to know where you all are at with this in considering your depth of experience with the human story and the condition. Are you even relating to that sort of sense making? Like, what does this mean for us? Are humans going to now, like, is this now an opportunity to evolve? Is that just not where your attention is? Because
Well, I think
I hear
in,
the sanctuary part, but
well, in answer to that, I think each time humanity has hit these hurdles, it's an opportunity to evolve. And some do, and some don't. I don't, but you're speaking to something in particular that we didn't bring out that I was thinking about, is the uncertainty that we don't know. We don't know what will happen. All we can do is the best we can with what we have, and that will optimize as much as can be optimized. I don't know if humanity will survive this trend. We do have an opportunity in ourselves, but I don't know where it will go. So living with the unknown, doing the best we can, having our inner resources expressed in a way that is clean as possible. That's, I think, what we need to learn to settle with is that it doesn't necessarily make sense and that we don't know where it's going. And I think that is what inner sanctuary can let us settle with, is the unknown. Unknown can be exciting, beautiful, and see the possibilities that are there. Trying to make sense of it and make it go a certain way will stop that. But also we need to anticipate how our actions are going to affect the world and how it's going to either optimize evolution or devolving, and both are happening. So the unknown and uncertainty is something we need to learn to live with, but take actions within. So I don't have any idea.
Yeah, I think the situation that is evolving in the last few decades, it shows that things are becoming more intense, more divisive, and all of that, and uncertain too. But that highlights something that's always the case about the human life. That is always the thing. We think we know what's going to happen. We really don't know. And this really shows it, that we really don't know. So this highlights by intensifying the situation. Doesn't mean it's not true. Yes, definitely it's more intense and more. But we also need to bring in the fact that there are people who don't feel scared or they feel happy. They feel they're getting what they want. And those people need to also be aware of themselves and aware of others and aware of what makes them feel this way. How true it is that they are going to get what they want. That thing that's happening the right way. Both sides, or all sides, need to look into themselves and find out what is their inner sanctuary, not what's happening outside making me feel happy. No, what is coming from within me that's making me happy. That's what we're inviting everybody to.
And more long-lasting happiness happens that way. So the inner sanctuary is the inner peace, inner stability, and presence.
And truth, inner truth, that is not dependent on external truth. It's not dependent on the news. It doesn't depend on external happenings, whether you're getting the right reporting, the wrong reporting, whose opinion, whatever. Inner truth is what you know and ascertain for yourself, not by anybody else.
And nobody's telling you what that is. When you feel it, you know it, and it's undoubtable.
Yeah, that's if it isn't there, there isn't the inner sanctuary.
Yeah, it's not a belief.
Yeah.
We never ask anyone to believe anything. We give you ways of moving into experience to verify for yourself what the truth is for you, not in terms of an idea, an opinion, but an actual felt sense of real.
Yeah, and I'm sure many teachings and teachers are doing the same thing we're doing here. Some addressing it, directly the way we are. Some just teaching, giving their teaching. Some are actually getting more engaged in social action or whatever. So we just want to let you know that we're not the only one here. We're not the only source of spiritual teaching. There are many sources, and all are needed.
Whatever way you do it,
All contribute. There are many people contributing to the harmony of humanity, even without being spiritual teaching.
yeah, whatever optimizes, whatever leads with heart will optimize.
Yep.
Let's take one more.
Hi, you two.
I recognize this person.
Hi, you one.
Good to see you both. Really good to see you both. Thank you. So I was just curious whether you wanted to talk about what the role of basic trust is in achieving this inner sanctuary, because it seems to me that if there's not a degree of that, the inner sanctuary itself doesn't have any kind of grounding.
Well, the basic trust is when you sense that truth, there is innate trust in the reality of that a sense of safety and security when that is a undoubtable presence is implied.
Kind of holding is how I experience it a lot
Yeah.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so basic doesn't mean it is not a particular, it's basic. It doesn't depend on situations. And it's just an inner trust that reality will be fine, regardless what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. And there, that whole teaching that we have that brings us into the palpable sense of goodness that is basic to being is what lets us feel, in fact, in the inner sanctuary, that we can rely on being, that is what is going to be able to see us through any difficulty, even death. That when we have a sense of that reality, then death is not as frightening also. And
And
that's a lot of what stimulates all this reactivity is our survival fears and the aggression around it and defensiveness. When we have a sense of our inner truth, that brings with it a sense of, yeah, I may or may not want things to be the way they are. I may be frightened, but there's something else I can rely on. So,
and I will say the more basic trust, the more that the inner sanctuary is established. The more the inner sanctuary is established, the more there is basic trust. There's
companions.
action between the two. Yeah. So I think that's good. Appreciate being with everybody. And
Good way to end it. That's beautiful.
I'm really, happy to have that many people being interested in the topic, wanting to learn how to be beacons of stability and light in a turbulent world.
Keep shining.
Thank you, Hameed and Karen, so much for today and for our amazing global community being here together. I did post in the chat the course that they both were talking about, which is the Spirituality in a Fractured World course. And I also posted a link to the email address if you have remaining questions or feedback that you want to share with the group. And is there anything else either of you both want to say before I open up the screen so people can wave goodbye?
Just, it doesn't matter what side you're on as long as you're on your side at the end of the day. I wish you all beautiful life.